Hello, everybody. Hi, Sandy. Good to see you. You are on time. You're actually here before me. Good to see you. So I'm eating a couple of carrots. Hello, Purple Nana Linda. Hello, Emmy. Chance is here. Chance is here. How are you guys today? Hope you're doing well. We are in the midst of going into a cool down at the moment. So the weather started off, the temperature started off pretty, oh, Chance. Started off great this morning. Actually, it was actually a little bit warm and humid, and now it's plummeting. Hello, Ann. Yeah. Hi, Linda and Tim. Hello, Shu. Chance is here. Yes, he is. Hi, the cat. He's crazy. Well, hello, Misty. There's your boyfriend. It's good to have you guys here. I'm a little nasally, in case you weren't here Monday night. I'm a little congested. He's what did it. Yeah, he's what did it to me. There's one thing I cannot do with him, and that is to pet him and touch around my eyes. Hi, Malia. Good to see you. Can't touch anywhere around my eyes because the dander of the Siamese cat, and a regular cat will do it too, but especially Siamese will get, somehow migrates into my eyes. Anyway, he will definitely get me going. And I not only did it once, I did it twice, fairly close together, like a week apart. I know better. Plus, we're almost at the place of a hard freeze in our weather pattern. Once the hard freeze hits and we get a really hard freeze, that will help. There's a lot of crap in the air, too. Anyway. Yeah, isn't that crazy, Malia? Malia, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I haven't seen you around for a while, just probably because I haven't crossed paths with you. Hi, Dorothy. Hi, Peggy. Good to see all of you. And Laura, I'm glad you're here. Rhonda won't be here today. So if you can hang out and mod for me, great. If you can't, that's okay. Yeah, so I have to keep drinking tea or water or something. I have both with me today. And it's all his fault. Isn't it? It's all your fault. And he doesn't feel bad about it a bit. In fact, I guess it was a couple days ago, in the afternoon, I was feeling yucky enough that I just sat down and put I have this fleece lined, it's one of those blankets that's got fleece on one side and kind of a velour kind of thing on the other side. It's like an Afghan, but it's, something that's manufactured. Anyway, so I sat down with that. Well, he loves that. He absolutely loves it. And so I went to sleep for a few minutes. And if I go to sleep in the afternoon, I usually will really, really sleep, like pass out sleep. And I was aware of the fact that he was tromping on me from one side to the other, because he could not make up his mind where he wanted to lie down. So he was being a royal pain, and I finally roused up enough. It's one of those sleeps where you're just too much asleep to be aware of what's happening, and yet there's something in your head where you go, what is going on? I finally woke up at one point and I just watched him. He was just walking back and forth across me, and I'm like, I don't know what the point of this game is. It's so crazy. Anyway, you're doing well, Malia. Good. You keep missing the lives. Good. Well, I'm glad. Oh, thanks, Ian. Hi, Shaz. Shaz, are you in Australia? Hi, CB. I think that's what I heard somebody say. Good to see you, CB. I looked at a bunch of your stuff that you posted on Instagram. I guess it was maybe during Inktober, that you posted a bunch of things on Instagram, drawings that you did. Your drawings and your artwork is phenomenal. If you guys don't follow CB, Carol Boudreau, we call her CB because that's what we all met her as years ago. If you don't follow her on Instagram, you should. You really should. Yes, Queensland, Australia. Ah, so what time is it there? Is it evening there, or is it the middle? It must be evening there, right? Or late at night? Well, it's true, CB. It's true. So anyway, if my energy level seems a little funky, that's why. And you're slobbering on me. So today may be a little bit more hodgepodge show and tell kind of stuff. Yeah. And Dorothy's telling CB she can come in and be part of the chat if she can behave. So I have, I still have a bunch of albums of Santas to show you and some other things. I'll leave the other things for a while. But I thought we'd go through some of the Santa albums. And who is the first person, Anne, that you're calling? I don't even know how to say that. Hirasuna? Is that M-E? Or who is that? Anyway. Doesn't matter. It was a name I wasn't familiar with. Tomorrow. Yes, okay. Oh, I see it. Is that your first name, M-E? Okay. I try to get the names stuck in my head after a while, but boy, it takes me a long time. Initials M-E. That's what you go by as your initials? Hi, Evelyn. Chance is here. Emmy. Ha ha. Okay, Emmy. Well, I'm just going to call you Emmy because it's easy. I'm going to call it because it's easy. Anyway, well, I thought we'd just do some show and tell kind of stuff today. And then I'll give you a choice after that. Another new name in the chat. Nana? Oh, no, that's CB's name. Crazy CB. Crazy with a K. Crazy CB 21A. That's it. And there is a Nana here. Who's Nana? Purple Nana. Linda. Gotcha. Whew, I'm telling you. Hi, Nettie. Good to see you. I'm telling you what, my brain is just not functioning super well. I didn't sleep much at all night before last. My nose got, nobody wants to hear this, but I couldn't breathe, and so I was really having a hard time trying to breathe, and so I kept, anyway, nobody cares. The completed Santa, he's not done yet. He's close to done. It's ended up to be a fairly busy week, so he's not quite on my... Okay, hold on just a second. By the way, the VIP class is tomorrow. Okay, we have 2 classes this month, so it's tomorrow. All right. Hey, Tori. It's so true. Malia, it's so true. He is trying to get me to pat him. He is trying very hard to get me to pat him. Oh, my stream deck is just not working. So it's going to be another one of those kind of awkward streams. That's okay. We can do it. We can do it. So here's the little guy we've been working on last several times. He's not quite finished. I have a lot of him done. I thought I would get the rest of the shading done, but I didn't get it done today. I did some of it. I'm down to below the belt, just below the belt. And so that's all done. All the white parts are done. And so I still need to go around the top part of his white fluff fur trim, around his stop chance, around his pants, and then decide what I'm going to do with the boots. So there he is so far. Oh, this cat driving me bonkers. Anyway, he is coming along. He's just a little guy. Hello, Joyce. This is one of my husband's wood carvings, Clausman, and he passed away almost 2 years ago. So it's one of them that I unearthed and had left. I still have a couple of snow people. I have 3 snow people that can be finished. I think there may be more snow people. Believe it or not, the snow people. The snow people are harder to paint than the Santas, just because they are they're so monochromatic. They really need accessories to go with them. The snow people do. One of the cutest ones we ever did was a family of snow people. Well, there's 2 that we did that were really good. I'm blowing my own horn here, but one was a family of snow people, and it was 4 or 5 snow people of varying sizes. And then I had him carve a whole, mounted them all on a base. I may have a picture in here. I don't know. We'll find out. And then it had a whole bunch of snowballs. He carved a whole bunch of snowballs. He wasn't very happy about that request either. He would get pretty upset with me because I like the small accessories. And it is hard. You're working with knives that are razor sharp, and he made himself a sharpening system, which I've since gotten out of the studio. I still have it, but it's out of the studio now because it's big, and it had all of these different sharpening wheels, and there were different grits, I guess is the word. There were at least 4 wheels, and he spent as much time sharpening his tools as he did carving. So that tells you how sharp those were, because you're more likely to cut yourself, and this goes for cooking too. You're more likely to cut yourself working with a dull tool than a sharp one, which doesn't sound like that makes sense, but it's true. And so he would flip it on. He built the thing. I was talking to a guy yesterday that's going to do some work for me, and I said, he was such an interesting person, and you don't realize it when you live with somebody 24/7. You don't realize how very truly interesting they are as human beings, because that's just who they are, and you get used to it, And so he built, if something had to be built, to fit in a certain space, he'd just go build it. If he needed a box, and I've shown you a bunch of his boxes, if he needed a box to store something, he'd just go build it. And Oh yeah, he this thing wants me to pat him for sure. He's driving me a little crazy. But since I'm just sitting here talking, I'm going to let him. So he would just go build a box. I have boxes of tools, wooden boxes of tools. Me, I go to Walmart and buy a plastic box with a locking lid. But he would, build the box. I have some that are beautiful boxes and some that are just kind of slopped together. They're still pretty good boxes, but made out of plywood rather than walnut or that kind of stuff. Um, so it's not really a surprise. He made carving knives. He liked his own carving knives that he made for himself. Um, the stuff that he made was pretty incredible. And like I said, you don't appreciate it as much until after you go, wow, he did a lot of stuff. Yeah, it is. It really is. You really have to be separated from someone to fully. I mean, I really tried to fully appreciate his skills and abilities. When he was here. I mean, we were married for almost 50 years. And I tried a lot to appreciate all the things that he was capable of, but you just don't fully appreciate it. You try, but you just don't. Because they go outside and they sweat and you know, everybody has vices of some kind. None of us are perfect, and every once in a while there'd be something that just irritate the crap out of me. I know, I'm not speaking ill of the dead, but it's just the truth. It's just the truth. So, anyway, that doesn't detract from all the great stuff that he was able to do and did to help me and did for all of his clients. He specialized in keeping people like me at home. Basically, he really specialized in remodeling and repairs the last, I don't know, probably 20 years. And there are many, many women in this town that he was able to keep in their homes and their condos and so forth because he was, as I referred to, a house husband. He was the one that would go in and make sure that everything was working. And, if the disposal stopped working, they would call him. If the light switches stopped working, they'd call him. And, man, that just, I was really grateful that he did that for all those people because they were able to stay at home. He provided a huge service for people. Unfortunately, he died and didn't leave me adequately prepared for that with that person to take care of everything. Anyway. Well, that's neat, Nettie. So, it's just one of those things that you go, I appreciate that. So, I have a few of his carvings left, the ones that were finished. He, toward the end of his life, oh, good, he's going away. Maybe he'll go settle himself down and find a place to lay down. As he was going away, because in sinking into dementia, which I didn't realize for a long time, but it's incredibly sad when you lose somebody like that, and you can't think about it. You really and truly just can't think about it, because it is what it is, and if you have to be able to continue to function, But a lot of his attention span, I don't know if he couldn't remember what he was doing or what his goal was. I don't know. Probably all of those things. But he had a really hard time staying focused. And so he'd come up here where he would spend hours in the studio with me. And we'd both be working on projects and so forth. And he'd be up here for hours with me. And the last couple of years, if he was here in the beginning of that 2-year span, if he was here for 30, 45 minutes working on something, carving on something, that was great. you know. And then gradually that span of time got shorter and shorter and shorter until he was maybe able to be up here for 15 minutes, 30 minutes at the outside, you know, and he would work on something, and then he'd just put down the tools and walk away. And I'm like, that is so unusual for him. Behavior was unusual. But you know, I was so busy trying to keep everything together that I didn't notice a lot of it, which is unfortunate, you know. But if you've dealt with dementia, you probably know what I'm talking about. Hi, Yvonne. Oh, good, Linda. I'm glad. Okay, so we're going to put this little Santa aside. I did find some other Santas that are really old, guys. These are like from back in the 80s and 90s, and I decided that nobody has requested them. Nobody in my family requested them. And so I decided that what I was going to do is repaint them and make them, I'm going to update them because the painting was terrible. The carving's fine. They're just more primitive. But the painting was terrible. And so this morning I sanded them and gessoed over them. And now he's going to whine. Anyway, this guy is not very big. He is about a little over 7 inches, 7¼ inches tall. He's real skinny. So I'm going to repaint him and make him update him a little bit. This is back in the days when, I don't know exactly when this was. Looks like maybe 96. I don't know. Anyway, the poor thing I was not doing a great job painting them. And this guy has a very primitive look, and I really like him. I've had people want to buy him in the past, and I wouldn't sell him. This one is about the same size, about 7¼ inches. About 7 inches, I guess. He's a little bit shorter. But when I was looking at him the other day, I'm like, man, he needs to be, sometimes they just need to be freshened up, you know, and he's one of those. And then this is he's just a shelf sitter, or, you know, it could be an ornament, could have we would put screw eyes in them so we could hang them. And again, the face that I did on this, it's back when I was using a different paint to base coat the faces. And bless his heart, his face was orange, you know, and I just hate that. I have to tell you, I hate that. In fact, I hate it so much that, you know, when sometimes when you go visit a funeral home, and there will be people in the casket, and I don't know what they do to them, but they make that person look orange, and that just... Anyway, and that's what this guy reminded me of, so I'm like, no. I need to repaint him. So I sanded them and then gessoed the 3 of them, so we have those to do. Hello, Angie. Hi, Ruth. Let's see. Hi, Mary. Good to see you guys. Yeah, I have several books out. I have a book on needle sculpting. I have a book on being a family caregiver, and I have several books of mandala patterns. Right, CB? I just, you know, when my dad died, that was the one thing that I threatened. I knew the guy at the funeral home, and I said, if you turn him orange, we're not paying for the funeral. I said, and I mean it. So when we went for the visitation, my mom was still here. We went for the visitation. We went in early, you know, to do the thing, and and they were so mortified that I would disapprove of what they had done. I'm like, they did fine. Anyway, let's get off the morbid topic, shall we? So the first thing I'm going to show you is I talked to you about the cane segments before, and I also found some ornaments, and I found, I think, 2 or 3 cane segments that were never painted. I don't know what anybody do with the cane segments because they have a hole in them. You know, I guess you could put them on a base and use them for a toothpick holder or something. I don't know. Anyway, back in the day when I really don't want to hold you. Let me put him away and see if I can get him to hush. Come on. Come on. Come on, come on. Yep. Come on. So in the world of mixed media art, in every art form there is some, especially online, when there's some sort of trading opportunity. So like when I was doing dolls, really got into doing dolls a lot, we traded pin dolls. Hey Shelly. Hi Barbara, good to see you. Anybody that I missed, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being here. Hi Sheila. Thank you for being here. Hello Eva Maria. Oh, he is so crazy. Hi Joni. I know I'm missing people, but it's good to see you guys. So in the world of doll making, we traded pin dolls, and they were just that. They couldn't, I think the parameter was 5 inches maybe. So you had, let me see, probably 5 inches or smaller, and it had to be a doll that you sewed a pin, like a locking pin on the back, and so you could wear that like on a lapel, or you go to a convention kind of thing and you could do that. I have an assortment of them, and I was involved in a couple of the pin doll exchanges. So you would make your doll, and it could be just the face of a doll. It's usually what I did. I made the head and then embellished the head, and usually made a collar to suggest a neck and that kind of stuff. That's usually what I did. But some people like to do the whole dolls, and sometimes they were very elaborate, like movable arms and legs and all that kind of stuff, always made out of fabric. So I was a cloth doll pattern designer for quite a while, and then eventually moved on to other things. And but that's what the doll makers did, pin doll exchanges. And then in the mixed media world, a lot of people will exchange either zines, which is short for magazine. Janet M. Young does that. Or well, just tell her that you can't talk to her, Dorothy. Her little sister's calling her. So you can do zines, or you can do ATCs, those kind, or the pockets. The hearts, Becky, I don't know who started was it Hearts of Love? Becky, Aunt Beck's creation. I don't know if she was the one that started that or if somebody else did, but they made hearts out of scraps. I have quite a few of those. Those were so good when, especially those last few months when I was taking care of Claus Man. Those hearts meant the world to me, and I would hang them up. The room that he ended up in was this room back here. So I was on the one level where I could manage him. And so this room, which is my sewing room, I cleared space and was able to have him in there, so he was just on one level and didn't have to go up and down steps. Anyway, it's a whole other thing. But I could hang those hearts all over in there, and it would give him something to look at, and it would remind me that people were thinking of us, which was very helpful. So mixed media world, sewing world, everybody kind of has their thing. Well, the wood carvers were no exception to that. And so they did cane segments, C-A-N-E. And so I thought I would bring the canes. I have 2 canes, bring them up and show you. So they are very big. And they're heavy. Okay, so we'll see if I can avoid dumping them, but this is how it looks at this point. So I'm sitting down and it's taller than I am. Clausman made the cane, which is just a dowel rod, and then he put, this is a piece I think that he turned on the lathe, and he's got a stopper at the bottom. So they would trade these cane segments, and most of the time they were this size. So they were whatever the size is, probably 3 inches. This was a different group that he got into one time, and it was a 6-inch cane segment, but they had to have a certain size hole. I mean, it was pretty, the parameters were pretty specific. So because it fit, you had to have it so that they would easily fit on a certain size dowel rod. And it's been too long ago for me to tell you all the details, but anyway, so different people would carve, and you would carve 16, which is a lot, 16 of the same thing in a given round of an exchange. And then you would mail out you'd get the names of your people, most of them men, but not always. And you would send your cane segments to your 16 or 15, I guess, because you're one of the 16. You would send those to the different people, and most of them were in the United States. So that's what this is. So I thought I would show it to you. So that is, and some of them were very primitive, which this guy is. He's very primitive. And all different skill levels of carving and painting. There was no judgment about, that you had to be proficient or whatever. I mean, you had to be able to you had to be able to meet the commitment. And if you weren't, if you really did a schlock operation, whoever was in charge of all that would not put you into the next exchange. So for the most part, it was a self-policing thing. So anyway, this guy is at the top. I don't know. It seemed like there were 6 in this one. I don't even know where the other pieces are, because I don't think they're enough. I don't think they're on here. No, the rest of these are short pieces. This one, so I'm just going to put it here where you can see. This is called chip carving. That's what this is. This is a different style of carving. Clausman tried doing this style, and he did not like it. This is kind of the equivalent of, it's not really equivalent to Zentangle in the mixed media world, but these are very precise cuts. And so this is a totally different style of carving. It's called chip carving. And so that, people who are good chip carvers, you can look it up online. People who are good chip carvers are amazing. Okay, so then this is a cross. That the cross is carved, it's 2-sided. Some of them were 4-sided, some 2-sided. This one is 2-sided. Everybody started with the same dimension of wood, And you didn't buy it. You had to be able to, you had to have the tools, cut your own, and all that kind of stuff. But you had to start with the same dimension, and then whatever you ended up with was up to you. So like in this case, this carver carved away most of a lot of the wood. So this one I think is hysterical. Okay, so let me just take this off, let it hang out somewhere else. Okay, so this one is also two-sided. No, it's you'd have. I don't think that was it. And she said because they remove little chips of wood. I don't think that's it, but I don't know exactly. Maybe that is the definition. I don't know. But it's very precise. It is not. It is not like the other carvings. It's almost. Yeah. I don't know how exactly to describe it. It's patterned. Good chip carvers are something. So I don't know. You'd have to honestly look it up online and see what their definition is. Okay, so this is this side right here, and then this is what this carver did on the other side. The imagination is profound with these people. Profound. This one looks like a little, this one I think is a troll, because trolls have tails, and there's a tail back here. So this one has feet complete with toenails, ugly toenails to boot, ugly hair. So that's that one. This one is also chip carving. This one, and this is not as elaborate. And this one, the carver chose to do different facets. Each facet is different, and then they also cut off the corners, so they had even more facets. So instead of 4, it's 8. 4, 5, 6, yeah, 8 different faces on these. This one's not quite as elaborate as the one I showed you up here. But this is also chip carving. You can screw up a chip carving so easily. Like I said, Klausman started it, but he did a little bit, but he didn't find it rewarding, so he didn't do that. Okay, this one is called, the person who did this she went by Sparrow online. That's what her name was online, and so this is a sparrow that she relief carved. So she carved away from the shape and revealed the sparrow, and then she I think this may be wood burning on this one. These little feathers, maybe, yeah, it's wood burning because you can see the design here and here. And then relief carved also, these are relief carved, these feathers, and then wood burned for the detail. All right, this one, this was a different kind of exchange. I keep looking up because I'm trying not to hit the ceiling. I still have a little ways to go. This one was kind of like a round robin journal, but in a wood carving form. And so what you did on this one is I forgot, there must have been 4 carvers. Sorry, my nose is running a little bit here. Sorry. So what they did is you would take your cane segment, again, they had pretty specific parameters for what they had to do. And so you carved the first thing on it and then sent it in the rotation. But you never knew what you were going to get from your buddies in the group. And so this is the one that Klausman did. So this is when he chose to carve it on the corner. So this is the guy he carved. And then it went to the next guy who carved this. And then it went to the next guy who carved this. It carved and painted. And the last one was this, which is a bucket of coal, and it says, "Have you been naughty or nice?" And this says coal. And so it's a bucket, and it has little chunks of coal carved out and relief carved from the wood. I have water. Thank you. This is another one. This is like a knight. This guy is like a knight. It just is a bit unwieldy. But they all rotate on the pole. This one's a sea captain. So, and he and this one, the detail is quite nice on his face. I'll put them up. I'll lay it on my table here in a minute so you can see the details a little bit more. So he's a sea captain. Very nicely done. This one is Frankenstein, I think. I'm pretty sure it's Frankenstein. This is another example of chip carving. I've got to keep this away from my camera so I don't whack the camera or the mic. So this is another example of chip carving here. This one was one of the this was part of the exchange. So this guy just carved the same face on each corner, or mostly the same face. One of the reasons to do it on the corner and instead of the flat side is because if you start on the corner, if you think about the fact that you need the nose, which is the part of the face that sticks out the most, you cannot add it afterwards. You've either got to carve the wood away on the, like on the face of the, like on a flat side of the block, or you start on the corner so you have some wood to work with. And that's why a lot of times the guys would carve the faces on the corners so that they had something to actually make the nose out of. Okay, so that was this one right here. And then this, I don't know if this came from one guy or I think it did, because none of these look like Clausman's work. Okay, so let me see if I can show this to you with a close-up. Now, you're going to have to look at them somewhat sideways because that's as good as I'm going to be able to get it. But I can zoom in with this camera so you can see more of the detail. But they're going to be sideways, okay? So this is the bottom of the cane. Okay, this is the bottom of the cane right here. This is the stopper, so this is glued on. So this is the one that I said Clausman did not do any of these. And the reason I can tell that is because a lot of the wood carvers, and this was very common, not just in wood carving, but also in marble and some of those other woods, is they would just carve out holes for the eyes. And then they would let the shadows kind of form the eyeball and stuff, which I didn't like, and so I preferred to paint the eyes in, like this guy. I prefer to paint the eyes. And so it took me a long time to train Clausman because most of the carvers, or an awful lot of them, would do this. And you can see it on this next one. So these are carved into the head, which eyeballs are not carved into the head, but that is, it just looks like it's flat on the surface, but it's not. That's actually a hole carved into the head. And I'm like, I don't like that, and if I'm going to paint him, we got to compromise on this, because I can't stand that. So, anyway. Yeah, that it is. Chip carving is really interesting. It's very detailed. So here's the chip carving up close. So you can see it in more, this chip carving is quite deep. You can see the cuts are pretty deep on that in here. Now, one of the things about chip carving is you get the different layers. The shadows are created by the different layers of the cuts. And shadows are what are necessary for wood carvings to really make them shine. Anyway, so there's that one. Alright, let's see if we can do a couple more here. So there's Frankenstein. You can see his scar. There's Frankenstein. And here is the sea captain. I'm sorry it's sideways, but that's the only thing I can do. So there is the sea captain. Hello, Christy. Good to see you. Welcome. So there's the sea captain. He's done really quite well. I mean, they're all done well. It's just, you have preferences. This is the knight, or what is he called? Not a knight, but a warrior, kind of like a biblical, I don't know. I can't remember what he's called. I don't know. Somebody will put it in the chat. Hey, Kimberly. This is the one that Clausman did the 4 centered around to the 4 different carvers. This is the one he did. So he did this, I painted it and finished it, and then it went around to a bunch of different people. So there's the next one, and the next one, and then the bucket of coal. On one of them that he did, okay, on one of them he did, that was in this, it was in this particular, the one where it was 4 people. Somebody had painted a face or carved a face on one, and you could carve on whatever side you wanted. You didn't have to go in order. And so Clausman carved a butt. Janet M. Young would approve. He carved butt cheeks on the opposite side. That's his sense of humor. That's his sense of humor. Janet M. Young would approve. Okay, here is the, maybe I can get this turned now. I'm far enough down I won't maybe whack the camera. It's a very unwieldy piece, to tell you the truth. Alright, there is the sparrow. So the sparrow's head. And the feathers, those feathers are burned into, these are wood burned and then stained with paint. This is all wood burning. These are carved into the wood, the background's carved away from these and then wood burned. And then this is what she put on the other side. Okay, this is chip carving again. Centurion, gladiator. Yeah, Roman soldier, gladiator, centurion. There you go. So here's another example. Sorry about that. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, so this is another example of chip carving. Except this one, they carved on the sides as well as or on the corners as well as the face of the piece. Chip carving is normally carved and then stained. But You don't do any elaborate painting on chip carvings. Okay, here's the troll. See those awful toenails? And apparently he's missing one toe on each foot. Apparently trolls only have 4. Yep. Apparently only have 4 toes. So there's the front of the troll. It's a great face, and the tail on the troll. That is typical of a troll. Here's the lady on one side. Another great face. People who carve like this and leave all the facets in the carving are that's a very characteristic style, and they achieve the style with few woodcuts, and they leave a lot of the woodcuts in. The eyes again are carved into as holes into the head, but your attention doesn't go to the eyes, which on the pieces that Clausman did, the attention always went to the eyes, and so I concentrated a lot on carving, on painting the eyes. Okay, so here's this one. That's the other side of this one. And here is the cross. And there's the chip carving. This is the most elaborate of the chip carving pieces on this. Same thing on all 4 sides. Yeah, it's pretty elaborate. And this is the 6-inch tall cane segment. She does. She makes ugly look beautiful, for real. So there is the other Santa. Okay. And the deal was that you had to make sure that you signed and dated the piece that you sent. And so that was always good, because then you knew who sent the pieces, because in time you forget who did what. All right. So I'm going to show you one more cane segment. This is the same size as the other one. He's a big one. And I have no idea how Clausman decided what order to put these in. No idea whatsoever. Anyway. Okay, so maybe what we'll try on this one is we'll try this. A different camera. Maybe I can do it all in one shot. Okay, I think we can get it from here. So this is at the top of the cane. So it looks kind of like Red Skelton. You guys remember Red Skelton? No, it's not. You don't use it as a cane. It's just a way to display the pieces. Hello, Kathy. It's just a way to display the pieces. All right. This piece, I think, this one was carved by the same person that did the sparrow. On the other one, sorry, get her off. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. I didn't even show it to you. Okay, let's go back. Sorry, I forgot to switch the camera over. So here's the Red Skelton kind of character. The hobo sort of guy. Okay. This piece, this segment is carved by the same gal. It was a woman who carved the sparrow. She had very little confidence in her carving ability, and she did a lot of relief carving, which means you carve the background away, and she didn't feel like that was good enough, but you know, I thought she did a great job. Next we have an owl. Oftentimes the carvers were better. Oftentimes they were better at carving than they were painting. That's one of the reasons that we split up the responsibility and worked as a team. Yeah, Red Skelton, he was cool. Not usually there was not a theme for the cane segments, but this is a rabbit, and he must be pretty tight because he doesn't want to move around. But there's his ears and his little bunny tail. He's got a cute little butt, and there's his front with his little buck teeth. He's really cute. Another owl. This one is another owl. The next one is a totem of some kind. This one. And this is very elaborately carved. This is kind of a combination of, this part down here is kind of a chip carving style. This is added afterwards, and so are the ears were added afterwards, and that's unusual. Didn't usually see that on these. This guy, sort of a Santa or a monk style. This one is pretty interesting. This is a golf bag, and this is leather, and this is leather added afterwards. So you could add things, you know, accessories, as long as they weren't too big. But there's a lot of detail in that. This is a funny little dog character. It's that little dog. The painting is nice on that one too. This is a Santa. Again, you can, maybe on this one you can see how the eyes are carved back into the head. Nothing wrong with it. It's a style choice, you know, but I didn't like it, and since I was painting them, I didn't want them done that way. This is how you carve something when you don't want to have to paint the face. Paint the eyes and paint the face. This is how you did it. This one has on pointy-toed shoes, almost like a Dutch, like wooden shoes. Okay, this is another chip carving example. This is not as typical chip carving to have an image like this as this corner detail. This is more typical of the chip carving. Or this is kind of straddling both. It's not quite the traditional chip carving, but getting there. This is far more indicative of the chip carving style. It's very challenging, let me tell you. Very challenging. Okay, this guy, I don't know what he is exactly. A Santa of some kind, or a gnome, or an elf, or something, or just an old character, I don't know. And then this one is Smokey the Bear. Okay, so there's the bear. Smokey the Bear. And that's what's on the other side of Smokey the Bear. And there's the ranger with a blacked out tooth, or a gold tooth. So there's the ranger, and there's Smokey the Bear. And then this one, I think is, I don't know. Oh, this is another troll, because you can see the ears up here. That's real typical of a troll to have ears like that, but no tail in the back. So that's probably a troll covering up her front part. Anyway, that's the end of that one. So, but they're big, you know, they're quite tall because I'm sitting down and you can't even see a third of it on camera, so they're very tall. Yeah, there is a lot of thought, a lot of work, but they were great exchanges that the carvers like to do. And it's nice to have ideas. You know, it was nice to have the different style examples and so forth, you know. So I have them hanging on I have a 3-piece, and there were a few times where Clausman said, he says, you don't have to keep those. He said, it's okay if you want to get rid of them. I'm like, why would I get rid of them? They're really nice. Why would I get rid of them? I like to have them to look at, you know. And one of the things you can do with something like this, or I could at this point, is use those for sketching. When I did a class with Carla Sondheim years and years ago, she used some of her kids' figures that they had created in clay, you know, when they were like preschool and kindergarten and stuff. And she would use those for sketching purposes. And so I have a figure that Race did, and he made it out of mud, you know, just because that's the kind of kid he was, and then let it dry. And he called him Pedro. I don't know if I have him here where I can get him. Let me see if he's here. Nothing like knocking things over, huh? So he did this little guy. Long time ago. I mean, he was a little bitty kid. You can see there's stones in it. And he has punched a face in with it. So he has a hat, like a sombrero. And there's his arms, and he's got like what do they call it, serape on poncho or something. Anyway, I sketched that several times because it was the only childlike thing that I had. So you can use, you know, if you have something like the cane segments, you know, they're it's good to use for sketching practice. CB, bite your tongue. Bite your tongue. Bye, Barbara. That's fine. You'll be back. Okay. So anyway, that's another thing that you can use for things that are simple shapes. And, you know, if you're not great about the powers of observation, then use something really simple to sketch. Because sketching, the whole thing about sketching is learning to take what you see and put it on paper. To really take the thing that you see, if you're using a real life example, to actually draw what you see, not what you think you see, because we all do that. You know, we go, oh, it has an eye, and we get freaked out because it's got an eye. Well, there are about 1 million different ways to draw an eye. You know, because there's different expressions, there's different shapes, there's different, you know, all kinds of things. And so, you know, to draw them differently and to draw what you see is the whole point of sketching practice. So, yeah, he was really small when he did that little thing. He was really small. Okay, let me think. Is there some? Oh, so I'm gonna. Would you like to see some more of the pictures that I have? Some more of the albums of carvings. If you would, I will show them to you. Yeah, Kathy says taking a 3D thing and making it a 1D thing. Yep. Yeah. It's a challenge, but it's a really good challenge. It's a really good challenge. It really develops your skills and your powers of observation, and you know, I'm not great about forcing myself to do that. But you know, it's always good if you do. Okay, I don't think I showed this book to you. I don't think so. If I did, you'll have to tell me. Okay, here we go. Nope, still not going to cooperate with me. Okay, here we go. So this is from 2007. I don't think I showed these to you. If I did, somebody let me know. So this Santa is the Amethyst Santa. So he's got a piece of amethyst here. That's what this is. That's created with silver wire around it, and then I think we put amethyst in his backpack too, or maybe not. Maybe it was just this. So you can kind of get the different sides, and he had a big tree. Okay. I think this was before we were doing all the faces, taking all the shots of the faces. This guy was Emerald Santa, and so he has a bell. And this was a piece of serpentine. Cheetah serpentine is what this piece of. It's a rough gemstone. You can see it over here. There are various stages of being smoothed. We bought one or two rock tumblers, and we'd buy rough stones and then tumble them. Sometimes we just buy the rocks in the rough and just use them the way they were. Sometimes we use fused glass. Just kind of depended. Anyway, I liked his bell. The bell, I can't remember if the bell was a separate piece that he carved. I don't remember. It's too long ago. Anyway, so you can see the interior of the bell. There's another one with another bell. We would go through phases. You know, it's like one year they'd all have a bell. One year they'd all have a pipe. Another year, you know, that's part of what you do when you're doing things for collectors. You know, so that you have so you don't repeat the same thing every year. And sometimes they would all have some sort of carved accessory, like a cat or a dog or a teddy bear or whatever. This guy was Santa of Joy in Dreams, and this is all painted detail in here. So you can see he has a piece of ruby and zoisite is what this stone is. Ruby and zoisite. And this has words I stamped in this one. If the surface was smooth enough, I could stamp on it. So this has words stamped on it. And then also, I think, yeah, this was just words, and then some gold sponge painting over the green, and then a little bit of trim. And the white fur on his is polka dotted. And this one was Santa of Peace. So this is a hand-carved dove. And this is a piece of lepidolite with tourmaline. That's what's on what he's holding. And I did them all different colors because I liked it. quite honestly. I'd get bored if I had to do the same thing all the time. This guy was Santa Granter of Wishes, so he has a pipe. This is a separate thing that's carved, and then that had to be drilled precisely into his mouth, exactly so that the pipe would sit at the right angle. That was always a little nerve-wracking for both of us. He'd say, "Is this the way you want it?" And I'd say, sometimes he wouldn't get it exactly right, but I could fix it by gluing it, because sometimes you go in with the drill bit and it would hit a knot or something and it would send the drill bit the wrong direction. Anyway, that's this guy. So he has a piece of leopard skin jasper. That's what he's holding here, leopard skin jasper. These were all wrapped in silver. This one is Santa Keeper of the Light, so this was a separate, the lantern was separate, and then we put it together with 2 screw eyes so that it would actually move. It's safer than carving this as one piece, and also gives you the bonus of it moving. So, yeah. And he also had, these are little tiny pieces of gemstone. They're not the jewelry grade gemstone, but they're little tiny pieces of gems. This one was Starlight Santa. Funny story about this one. A friend of mine bought this. Her husband really liked this one. Okay, he really liked this piece. And I thought this one would never sell because it was so dull. The color was so dull. It was the first piece we sold that year. I sold it to a friend of mine, which I didn't intend to. I just took it because I thought they'd like to see the collection, and her husband loved it. But he was colorblind, and so, he could not see the accurate color. I always thought that was funny. And this has amethyst, is what he's got. But he was called the Starlight Santa. So a lot of them had walking sticks. This one is the traditional velvet Santa. He looks pretty shiny in here. None of them look quite that shiny. It's just the way the light caught it. But he has another bell. So we did apparently a lot of bells that year. But he's just a little bitty guy. He was only maybe 6 inches tall. This one is the Twilight Santa. I may have shown you guys this before. I don't know. Sometimes I recycled names. Hey, Amber. Because sometimes I would just run out of names, I like this one, the way that he carved the beard on this with the little Christmas tree, and the way he wrapped the beard around the figure. I really love that. So he was done in very pale blues and pale greens. And down here at the bottom there is a piece of rose quartz right there. Piece of rose quartz right at the base. This is one of the cypress knees. So he's one of the cypress knees, called the Woodland Santa. And the detail on him was stamped using an eraser from a pencil. And again, I like the way that he did the beard on this one a lot. I thought this was really nice, the way he did the beard. He did not like carving cypress knees. They're just difficult to carve. This was Santa with a golden sack. Again, I was running out of names this year. So he's got a piece of calcite. This is green calcite that he's got here. And these are painted packages back here. But the calcite was wire sculpted and then attached. I like this base on this one a lot. This is the Santa in the sack. This was a big one. We did this in multiple sizes. So we did it in a big size. I love these because they were so easy to paint. But they were a lot of fun to do. Santa in the bag. This one, he is sitting in a rocking chair. This is all one piece. Okay, this is all one piece, and it actually did rock a little bit. And he has on the side here, or on the back of the chair, it's a piece of onyx that's hanging on the back. You can see it here. But he had a very big head, little tiny body and a huge head. And that was one that, you know, and the person that bought it loved it. But that was a weird scale. Weird scale. We did this guy several times, sitting on the chimney. I think these were all separate pieces. That's a gemstone there, which is jade. And then this was separate. This was a little teddy bear that was carved separately also. So I think the candy cane, the tree, and the teddy bear were all separate. You can see the jade right there, and you can see another angle of the teddy bear. And sitting on the chimney. This is I just called him Miniature Santa because he's really tiny. These are all little gemstones in here. And this, he had unnaturally short feet. If he was in real life, he would have gone just like this. He wouldn't have had enough feet to hold him up. For some reason, Clausman carved away his toes. I don't know why. I don't know. Okay, I think that's all in this book. Yeah. I think. Is it? Let me see. Oh, no. Okay. That was a Sleepy Santa. We did that in several different renditions. And then another thing he did was carousel horses. So he didn't do only Santas. This is a small carousel horse. We also did a quarter scale carousel horse, which is a big piece, and it's old. It's up on my mantle upstairs. I also have another carousel horse that he never got completely finished, that he broke the leg on. This piece right in here is vulnerable, especially on a big carousel horse. So you have to be real careful with that. Anyway, this is carousel horse with a brass pole. You could actually buy those, and so we bought the brass poles, and we did several of these small carousel horses. And the detail on this is done with pen and ink, and then acrylic paint. I don't know if I did the pen. I probably did the pen work after I did the roses, so you can see the different sides. And then this, he has a saddle on, and then I painted a like a gold rope on that, like that's what's holding the saddle on. Okay, so there's that. Are you guys tired yet? I can keep going. Bye, Angie. Do you want me to keep going? Yes. Ann Lar says no. Does that mean no, you want me to stop, or no, you don't want me to stop? Are you tired? I gotta have more than one word answer, because by the time I see it in the chat, I don't know what you're answering. Yes, he did. Well, he did stream with me occasionally, not very often, because the camera made him real nervous. But he did it one time with Race, when Race was here, and they did a lot of his carvings. Keep going. Okay. Race basically interviewed him and showed a lot of the carvings. I just kept bringing carvings. I just kept feeding carvings to him because you just don't realize how many carvings are in this house. And Race has taken a lot of them home. I've given some to my different family members and stuff. Anyway, okay, let's continue on. So I didn't always put the names in with the Santas, with the pictures, but anyway. So he has a carved basket. He was a fun little guy to do. I don't know what this is under here. You know, it almost was like a fur undergarment or something. I don't know. So I made it look completely different than his outfit because I really didn't know what that was. And sometimes after Claus Man would get him painted or carved, he wouldn't know what they were either. He'd just be in the moment and he'd be carving along and you go, Anyway, so this basket is here and it has a bunch of gemstones in it, and then he's got a gemstone in each one of his, like this, in each one of his hands. And then there are some down here, a little pile of gemstones down here on the snow. So you can see him there. This was his face close up. So this is the face. This face, there's a close-up of the pipe. So this face, you get to see it close up for a second, goes with this Santa here. And I wish I could tell you, I think this is a piece of glass, but a fused glass, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember exactly. And he had a separate walking stick, a separate pipe, and then the fused glass piece, and then the package was carved, separately, which you wouldn't think that would be hard to carve, but they were deceptively difficult to carve. You think they were Santa's boxer shorts? Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember. Okay, this was apparently the year of the pipe. I'm guessing. So there's the close-up of the face that you'll see on the next guy. And so this is the Santa. This is a piece of fused glass here. So in case you don't know what fused glass is, it's where they take a base layer of glass. I actually did some fusing. I don't have a kiln, but I actually did some glass fusing, but I don't know that we ever used the pieces that I did. We may have. I don't know. And then they take stringers, which are a little, about the size of a strand of spaghetti, and you can cut them in different lengths and lay that on top. You sandwich it all together and usually put a piece of clear glass on the top, and then it's fused in the kiln. And so that's what that is. And this one is wrapped in copper. You can see his pipe. So you can see it from the different angles. Let's see. This is another one of the cypress knees. I loved him. I loved it when he painted the cypress, or carved the cypress knees, because they were, the face took time, but the rest of the Santa was so easy for me to paint. And he has, but this is just a natural part of the cypress knee, and so we inset a piece of fused glass into that. So that's what's in there. I really liked him. There's his face close up, so you can see his face. Some of them you get really, I'm really partial to. This is about the one and only time we ever did a wizard, and I don't know what possessed me to make him a wizard. Some people don't like Santas, and I don't remember why I decided to paint him as a wizard. It could have been a request from somebody that bought him. I don't know. But you didn't necessarily have to be a wizard, but that was what the person that wanted him wanted. This is a glass snowflake that he's holding, a crystal snowflake. So there's that one. And this is just a close-up of one of the faces. Here's a close-up of another face. This one had the teddy bear with the walking stick with a piece of aventurine on the top of it. I really like learning about the various crystals. Oh, this is this guy. So this face right here goes to this Santa. And so this was a separate, the teddy bear was carved separately, the walking stick was separate. So you can see the different angles. I loved the teddy bears when he carved those. Except for that one black bear that he hacked the nose off on, and I'm like, man, I'm going to have to work hard on this one. This is another cypress knee in purple. Some people who carve the cypress knees will carve scenes out. You know, they'll typically, or frequently, they will carve the cypress knees into more of a wizard style figure, and then a lot of times you'll see the a scene carved out and painted in the beard. It's pretty cool. But they're always interesting, the cypress knees, and there is a piece of something inset in here, and I don't know what it was. I don't know now if it was, looks like it might be fused glass, but I don't know. There's his face. Sometimes these are carved like wood spirits, and they're not painted, they're just stained. But they needed faces on him, you know, for me, and so that's why I had him do that. We collaborated on lots of things. This is a different one. And this one does have a piece of fused glass down here at the bottom of his robe. And all these guys had names and stories that went with them. This is a primitive Santa. There is a thing here in the state called the Best of Missouri Hands. It's a state that we live in. And so you could submit your work, and you could then be, somebody would judge your work, and then you were either accepted into the Best of Missouri Hands or not. And so he submitted his work. I don't remember why he decided to do that, or if I talked him into it. I don't think I did. But anyway, it's hard when people judge your work. And so they gave it back to us and said that, well, there were some things that needed to be different. And I'm like, whatever. This was one of the pieces we submitted. This is years and years and years ago. And this is one of the pieces we submitted along with a shorebird and something else. We had to do, an eagle head. So we had to do 3 different pieces. And we finally, you know, I listened to all the criticism because it had to do with the colors. You know, the red was too bright and the this was too that. And I'm like, oh, for heaven's sakes. Anyway, so once we got it through the judgment process, then he could put on his work that, you know, he was a Best of Missouri Hands wood carver. But you have to keep up with it, and you have to pay money. You know, it's a money-making thing for the organization. And so we would, but, you know, it had some clout associated with it. But anyway, you know, I hate having my work judged. You either like it or you don't. I really don't care if you like it or not. These guys were, both of these were small. I still have this one. I may have this one. I don't remember. But these were early pieces before he was doing, you know, giving me space to paint their eyes. I don't remember if I still have this one, but anyway, I like those guys. This is another one here. He's a little guy. Gemstones in the mouth of his pack. I like the tilt of his head. There's his face. Well, right, CB? Some people don't mind it. I hate being judged, so I just don't do it. If you like it, great. You don't like it, I can't help it if you have bad taste. See, that's how much I don't care if you like what I do. Anyway, this is kind of a monk style. Again, these are an old, many years ago style Santa. This was before we were adding the accessories to them, and I was perfecting the painting style. This is a monk style guy. He had a special name, and I've forgotten what it is now. Anyway, cannot remember what they were called. Anyway, they're funny because they have this funny, unique nose up in the air kind of thing. This is another guy, same style as the other one. It's just his nose isn't quite up in the air. Yeah, exactly, Ruth. This is another one, same thing. I cannot remember what they were called. They're not exactly Santas, they're more like monks of some kind, but you know, a monk would probably take great offense to that. Yeah, this is the same one. Oh no, this is not the same one. I don't think, is it? Yeah, this is the same guy. I like these with their nose up in the air. I think they're funny. Okay, here's the Santa or the snow people that I was telling you about. So it was only a family of 3 instead of 5. So these are the snow people, and so they had 2 different kinds of arms. The arms were removable. These were actual twigs that came from a tree in our backyard. And then we also did a set that was twisted wire. Okay, Kathy, I'll do that. And then these are the carved snowballs. So there were a bunch of carved snowballs down here, covered in glitter paint or something. So we had 2 different sets of arms because I was pretty sure that eventually these were going to get broken. And so we had copper wire twisted arms also to go with them. Snow people are challenging to paint because of the color. So they were white, and then I used some metallic aqua paint to do the shading and stuff. There's just only so much you can do with snow people, unless you have accessories with them. These are some of the other things that we did. This was a piece, there was an original wood carving. We then made a mold of it and then poured them in resin. And so this is resin painted, the same technique that I use with the wood pieces, and then mounted on a cork, and it's a bottle stopper. And this is the same guy done in a different colorway. So these 2 are resin. There's more of the Santa in the bag, because we did, like I said, we did a bunch of those. Ornament. This is an ornament because it's this. So this is a little guy about so big. We had those in resin and in wood both. And then this is another thing that he did. We called these goofballs. So these are goofballs. And so they are actually golf balls that he picked up. And believe it or not, a golf ball is not a golf ball is a golf ball. Okay? Golf balls, some of them are wound like rubber band material. And so it's wound up. And then it's encased in the shell. Well, those you can't carve because you start unraveling them and they just come apart. These are rubber inside. It's a rubber core. And they come in all different colors. And so, and you'd have to, he made a tool. Like I said, he was really good at making whatever he needed for a given task. And so he made some kind of tool to take the shell, because you had to cut it in half to take the, to split the shell off of the golf ball so that you could reveal the core of the golf ball inside, because that's what you carved. Some people specialize in carving golf balls, but we call them goofballs. I like these two because they didn't have to be painted. This was walnut from his grandfather's farm, and then we used green to create a little green, golf whatever. And these were tees. These are old tees that we picked up off golf courses. And there's a shot of the different colors that the goofball, the inside of the golf balls would come in. And yeah, so lots of goofballs. And this is another guy that may offend some of you. This is affectionately known as Head Up the Butt. This original idea came from a poster. I think it was an Apple poster. And we did this in wood, and we did a lot of them in resin. And I have given this more times than I can tell you to college kids when they're getting ready to start their first jobs. In fact, I gave one day to a little gal at, she used to make coffee at Starbucks, and some customer had come in there and had just reamed her up one side and down the other. He was having a bad day. And she was so upset. She was shaking. She was so upset. And I said, I'll be back. I came home and I got one of the Head Up the Butt characters, and I took it back to her and I said, look, you're going to run into lots of people in your lifetime that are like this. It doesn't mean they're right. I know you're in service work and you have to be polite. You can't react the way you want to. She was like, 18, 17, 18. She was really young, and whoever it was had just gone upside down. He'd been having a terrible day, and he took it out on her. And I said, so you just put this someplace where you see it, and then you just remember that you're gonna run into people like that in your life. And just because they're behaving like that doesn't mean that it's your fault or your responsibility or anything else. You just may sometimes run into people like that. Don't take it personally. So anyway, that is that guy. Okay, this is a squatty, fat little Santa. His coat is decorated with red dots. His name was, I don't know what his name was. I said, even Santa, as good-natured as he is, gets a bit bored always wearing red. This year he decided to spice things up a bit to see if anyone noticed. Santa couldn't avoid red entirely, so he ordered a few dots and spots of red to be added to his hat and coat. The tree is a special delivery for someone who appreciates all things vintage. Remember those metal trees with the revolving color reflectors? Santa also holds a beautiful piece of wire-sculpted, hand-created fused glass to remind everyone of the beauty and joy of the holiday season. So, right here is the glass, fused glass. The great part about fused glass, too, is that you could sometimes use dichroic, a dichroic glass on the top, and it would give you that blend of colors, which is really cool. This guy, you may have seen one similar to him. He has a little pile of stones down here and more stones in his pack. He's another one that had, this is that one, he did this twice, at least cut his feet off, cut his toes off. So on this one, I piled fake snow up around him because these feet were real short. So sometimes, you can see how short those are. Sometimes I had to make lemonade out of the lemon that he gave me. This guy's another little guy. I like how his hands are in his pocket. It says Santa's hands are cold. Somewhere he's lost his mittens, but fortunately he has nice hand warmers prepared by Mrs. Claus to keep his fingers toasty. As soon as he returns home from a long night of wonder and magic, I bet he'll find his mittens right where he left them. Okay, this was a custom piece that we did for a guy who ordered this piece. He wanted a Santa and he wanted his dog on the piece. Okay, let me tell you something. That's a big challenge. I only did this once. Only once. Yeah, I don't do custom orders. This was the one and only time we did it because I'm like, this piece I really stressed over because I know the guy, he's a neighbor, he has a yellow lab, and I'm like, oh, if this doesn't look good, I'm going to be in so much, he's going to feel obligated. I mean, so many things could have gone so wrong with this. It turns out that he loved it, and I was so grateful. But here's his yellow lab. She has a little red bell. She has twine for her leash. His shirt is a striped shirt. He has a very tall walking stick with bells on it. He ended up turning out really well, but you can see the different angles of the dog. So he turned out really well. There he is. And so the title of this was Santa and His Best Friend. Even Santa needs to relax. On days when the sun shines brightly, he sheds his coat to reveal his portly belly and that requires suspenders. Of course, grabs his walking stick and whistles for his best friend, who is almost the color of snow. They love the woods where they find critters and creatures galore. They walk and they talk, and sometimes Santa's best friend goes for a long run along the path. Santa knows that at the other end of the path, he and his friend will always reunite. After a beautiful walk, it's time to go home, where Santa enjoys hot chocolate and stretches out for a nap with his best friend still at his side. So that was a custom piece. Never to be repeated, ever. This is fused glass in here. This is amethyst in there in his pack. This one, I don't remember what was his thing. Don't you wonder what's in the packages? I'll bet it's just what you wrote on your list. How does Santa know what's on your list? It's magic. It's a mystery. No matter how many times I've asked him, he keeps the secret. I hope he never tells me. So that's the story of this Santa. So all these packages were separate pieces, and so was this one. He has bells on the walking stick. This stick was actually a stick from our yard, from a tree in our yard. And I think that might be it. Yep, that's it for that one. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna probably, unless you have questions, I'm probably gonna take off for today. Any questions from anybody? Oh, Kathy's got to go adult. How boring. Any questions? I'll give you a minute. You love them? Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like them. It's always fun to show you. I have 2 books of things that are not just Santa Clauses because, like I said, he did do other things other than Santas. The Santas were just the things that sold the best for us. And so that's why we did Santa, why we got into that. And that's why he became Claus Man. Right. All right. I'm going to take off, and maybe Monday we'll look at the other 2 little books. Pardon me, and we'll actually do something. Hopefully by Monday I will be cleared out. This allergy thing will be behind me. Tomorrow is the VIP class. Those of you who are VIP members, and I will get your information to you shortly so you know where to go. And with that being said, I'm going to take off. So thank you guys for being here, and I will see you on VIP people. I'll see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. Information will be in your email at HowToGetCreative.com. That's where we meet through the website. And I will, the rest of you, hopefully I'll see you Monday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. So until then, I hope you guys thank you for being here. Thank you for putting up with me. And I hope that you remember, as always, to stay creative, get creative, and do something nice for somebody else. And I will see you before you know it. So bye for now, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.